Mitch McConnell complained that Donald Trump does not have experience of the political process and as a result has unreasonable expectations when it comes to passing legislation. Well, Donald Trump and a number of people on the right didn't take too kindly to what McConnell had to say. And so the response has been pretty fierce and very interesting. Let's hear from Donald Trump first. He tweeted about Mitch McConnell's statements and said the following: Senator McConnell said, "I had excessive expectations, but I don't think so. After 7 years of hearing repeal and replace, why not done?"
Why not done?
It's not done because their replacement plan was deeply unpopular, and even members of the right did not want to repeal the Affordable Care Act and specific components that they get to take advantage of, right? Components including being able to stay on your parents' health insurance until you're 26, Tommy Lauren, or not being disregarded by insurance companies or rejected by insurance companies for having a pre-existing condition. What Republicans could have done is improve the Affordable Care Act, but they can't do that. They're gonna go ahead and upset their donors if they do that. So instead, they're gonna go ahead and try to screw the American people over. But nonetheless, Republicans failed with this attempt, and Trump's upset about it. And Mitch is right, but Trump is always also right. Like it's really interesting.
Yeah, well, look, so let's go to Dan Scavino's tweet on it. So he is the social media person for Donald Trump. He helps him on Twitter, which is hilarious. All right, he says more excuses, and the Senate Majority Leader must have needed another 4 years in addition to the 7 years to repeal and replace Obamacare. Well, again, to Anna's point, he's right. I mean, you had 7 years to come up with a proposal that was great and that you can get all of your Republicans to vote for once you guys have the majority. But he's also wrong because their proposal was never great. And Trump and Scavino and his whole team supported that miserable proposal. The reason they couldn't pass it is because they didn't have enough votes, because they were lying those 7 years. They pretended, and Trump during the campaign did the same exact thing and even more. They pretended they had a secret magic options that would cover everyone, would give you a lower premium and better coverage. Well, none of those things turned out to be true. Their option turned out to cover 20 to 30 million people less than is covered now. Turned out premiums were going to be 4 or 5 times higher. Not 4 or 5%, 4 or 5 times higher for older people in America, and higher overall for most people other than the young and the healthy, and you would get less coverage in your health care. So it was an epic debacle, not because somebody played the politics wrong, not because they didn't have enough time to prepare. It's because they were always full of crap. They never had a better proposal. So yes, you guys can punch each other in the face and God bless your hearts, keep doing that. But at the end of the day, you're attacking each other for the same bill that you both wanted passed, that Americans hated and polled at 17% because you were lying all along.
And that's
the problem, not because McConnell is lazy or that Trump had too high expectations. It's just you guys never had the right bill.
They never had the right bill, and they never listened to what Americans really need or want. And that's the biggest issue. It happens on the Democratic side as well. And so there is infighting among Democrats right now. But you see the same behavior on the right, and it's time for lawmakers who have gotten elected into office to represent people to actually represent their constituents, because that's not what Republicans did. All they did was whine and cry and mope about the Affordable Care Act for 7 years, knowing full well that that was actually a Republican plan crafted by the Heritage Foundation for Massachusetts, under Mitt Romney, by the way. Okay, so final attack against McConnell came from Fox and Friends. Fun little video, let's take a look.
He said the president has not been in this line of work before. I think people like that.
Did he forget that he might have been reported?
He gets things done ahead of deadline. That's the problem. Nothing has happened. They've passed almost nothing of substance.
Well, instead of complaining, instead of taking a recess and a break, then fine, go back to the Senate, work it out, get it done for the American people.
Why is he in Kentucky? And they're not ready. They weren't even ready to push the president's nominees forward and fast.
Whatever time you need, get it done. But don't complain about it. Don't have the victim mentality.
He's complaining that the president doesn't realize how long stuff takes in Washington. We're not in the Senate working by the old rules. What they do now is they write bills in secret, they airdrop them in on the floor, and then they're rammed through on party line votes.
And he's speaking in front of the Rotary Club back home.
Exactly, taking a recess.
After he promised to stay through August, or at least through the middle of August.
It's a vacation.
You know, he's complaining we don't have time. The way they do it, he's got plenty of time to do that.
Well, then maybe we need to change the system. Maybe this is what the president's talking about, draining the swamp. Maybe the long, lengthy parliamentary whatever procedure or system they have that takes forever.
Unbelievable. That's not realistic. It's not realistic because you stop working.
True. You can't get things done if you're not in the Senate.
It's unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
What an embarrassment.
Oh.
But why is he in Kentucky?
Yeah,
why is Mitch McConnell in Kentucky?
That's kind of his home state. He's the senator from Kentucky. Anyway,
it was awesome.
Yeah, and he's on vacation. No, he's actually making a political speech. Okay, but let's get to the essence here. And one more fun aside. She's like, they should do that thing with the parliamentarian or whatever it is that they do.
That takes forever.
Please don't stop. You want to talk about embarrassing? Okay, so this is a coordinated attack by all the Trump supporters on Fox News. Sean Hannity called in capital letters Mitch McConnell a weak, spineless leader who needs to retire. And Lou Dobbs, another huge Trump supporter, said you need to ditch Mitch, and he called him lazy McConnell. So these are nuclear attacks against Mitch McConnell. And they said in the middle of that segment, this is what Trump meant by draining the swamp. He's saying that the Senate Majority Leader for the Republicans is the swamp. Okay, that's what they're saying on Fox and Friends. So you're going nuclear on Mitch McConnell. We discussed why that's a stupid idea. But here's my question. What's your end game? So I know you're angry and your ego's been touched and you're a child, but do you have any strategy? Okay, you nuke your own Senate Majority Leader. By the way, sometimes maybe you do need to do that. I'm not saying that that's an option you should never take. You want to break the back of the elite and the establishment? I'm right there with you, right? But then what do you do? What's your end game? Okay, we get rid of Mitch McConnell. And then we have what? A bill that's has 87% popularity? No, you still have a bill that has 17% popularity. You still can't get the senators. If he was moving the chess pieces around, he's like, all right, look, let's target a weak Republican who voted the wrong way, and we'll knock him out in the next election. That'll send a signal to everyone else, and then that'll have reverberations to Mitch McConnell, et cetera. Well, that's smart strategy and it might work. Oh, let's take the Mitch McConnell, let's go, you're retire, I hate you, you're lazy, you bum, you swamp. And then what?
Also, I mean, I feel like we're forgetting what the whole purpose of the Senate and House of Representatives is. It isn't to be like a group of water boys for President Trump. It's meant to challenge his power, to check his power. And so if the president is pressuring lawmakers to pass legislation that isn't good for the American people, it is the responsibility of these lawmakers to fight back and to say, no, this isn't good for my constituents. I'm not going to go ahead and pass this legislation. That's what Congress is supposed to do.
So finally, look, there's a lot of different votes on a lot of different versions of this. And McCain, of course, at the end voted no. But the two senators that were most adamantly no on all these different proposals were Lisa Murkowski and Susan Collins. They're both Republican senators, and they voted no on these proposals. So what do you do about that? Well, or why did they do that? Was it because they're lazy? No, they showed up, they deliberated, and they voted no. Was it because they overpromised? Well, they didn't promise to kill Obamacare. And by the way, in the times that Murkowski intimated that, and you should hold her accountable for that. I understand that, right? But at the end of the day, they voted no, not because they were incompetent or didn't know what they were doing. They voted no because they don't agree. They don't agree with the bill. They think it would take away insurance from at least 20 million people, and it would lead to higher rates. And yes, they would probably lose their seats, but also millions of people in their states could get affected. So they don't agree. That's your number one problem. You can't just say, oh, Congress, why don't you just agree? But that's not a solution. These guys they just don't have the intellect for the job. So, and thank God for that. If they were smart, they might be able to figure out how to pass a disastrous healthcare bill that would hurt all of us, but would greatly help their donors. But luckily, they're too dumb to figure it out. Watch the Young Turks commercial-free, download it or stream it, watch it any way you like at tytnetwork.com/join.